Today you're making a vegan pavlova. You're probably thinking, what's a pavlova? And a pavlova, first of all, is a delicious, very, very low baked meringue. And on top of that goes a really nice, typically a pastry cream made with eggs and things like that. And then topped, well, the whole thing's typically made with eggs. And this version, we're going to be using aquafaba, which is the cooked and cooled liquid of chickpeas. And believe it or not, when you whip it up and you add sugar, it turns into a meringue. And the bean flavor in the beginning, at first, you will taste it. But since we're going to sweeten it up, we're going to add vanilla extract and all these other things, you won't be able to taste it as much. So please ensure that this will be a very, very eye-opening recipe for you. And I'm excited for you to work with aquafaba this week. The first thing we need to do is prepare our pan. Now this is a quarter sheet pan, but you can go ahead and use a half sheet pan and just draw your circle. This is an 8-inch cake pan circle that I just drew on here, and I turned it the other way so that the markings would not eventually get onto the actual pavlova. I also have a star tip that I have put into my pastry bag, and now I can get started with making the meringue. So I put my aquafaba liquid inside, and I'm going to be whipping it a little bit first so it has some fluffiness. And once it gets to that stage where it looks like a light meringue, that's why I will start to add my sugar. So I need to ensure that this is whipped until it has a stiff peak. And what I'm doing is I'm just scraping the pan, scraping the bowl, and ensuring that I have equal whip area and I don't have any pockets of sugar stuck on the sides. So I'm just going to keep whipping this until I have my stiff peaks. Great. So now I'm adding in my vanilla extract, and that was just a little bit of xanthan gum at the end. This is after I've achieved the correct stiff peak texture. Now the xanthan gum, what that does, it creates a kind of stabilizer for this meringue, and that way when you eat it later, it will have that kind of texture of the egg. So now my meringue is done, and I'm going to go ahead and put this into my piping bag so I can start to pipe the beautiful design. Look how beautiful that meringue is. No one would have be able to tell that that's vegan. Now the great thing about this aquafaba recipe is that you can use this meringue in any form that a meringue is needed in a typical recipe. So think about macarons, for example. They use an egg meringue. And you've seen macarons maybe online or something that are vegan. Well, they're made of exactly these ingredients. And now you know how to make the meringue part. So it should be easy to now be able to market that you know how to make vegan macarons. Wonderful. So I have this in the bag. I'm going to make sure that the meringue is kind of pushed to the edge of the bag before I start piping. So I have made a circle here with this, and I want to ensure that I have a little bit of a rim on the outside as well, just in case, so that I have an area to put all of my coconut pastry cream. Now I want to make some little dots on the side, and that way I can utilize those for garnish. And I'm going to go ahead and do a border here so that it can house and kind of hold the middle, which will be the coconut pastry cream. So I'm just doing a shell pattern here all around the edge. And when that bakes, it'll create kind of a wall on the outside. So you're going to bake this per your recipe at a very low temperature, and then make sure that you also open the oven door at the end and just let it rest there until it's completely done. And you want to, when it's finished, it'll have that the kind of hard texture of the meringue, and on the inside it should be nice and chewy. Now let's start with our coconut pastry cream. We have all of our vegan ingredients out, and we're going to do the pastry cream method just like we would a typical pastry cream. So we're separating the sugar so that the cornstarch doesn't get lumpy, and you kind of know what happens next. So I think that you should be good with this recipe. Once your coconut pastry cream is all finished, you want to push it through a sieve and ensure that there are no lumps. And then we're going to add in our fruit flavor. So I believe that you're going to be utilizing mango puree for this. And so it'll have kind of a tropical theme to your pavlova. And it'll be absolutely delicious with all those fresh fruits on top. So once that's done, go ahead and set that in the fridge and let it kind of set while you are assembling and getting everything ready for your pavlova. Okay, it's time to plate it up. So we put our pavlova that's all done on the bottom, and we're going to spoon our tropical pastry cream on top of that. And then we will just decorate with some beautiful fresh fruit and our finished little garnish meringue pieces on the sides and on the top. So I also wanted to show you a cut piece of this so you can see what the interior looks like. I think that you'll be very happy with this recipe. Good luck!